Do you ever wonder how professional studios look so good on videos and podcasts? Well, join me today as I talk to Sarah Crilley, and we're going to talk about how she creates studios for videos and podcasts. Join us. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Today is a very, very special show. I am in the Grandscape at the Colony, at the Real News PR Colony Studios. So you can see it's totally different than my usual in-home studio. And that's because today we're going to talk all about studios and design and what it takes to put together a professional show. So before I get to that and my special guests, let's see who is in the audience. Welcome, David Mayer, all the way from Michigan. Yeah, probably as hot as Dallas. Yes. Olivia from New York. Welcome, Olivia. Good to see you in there. Braden from Texas. My DFW crew, Debbie Spitzer. Roger from Atlanta. We got a whole big crew this time in the comments. I love it, across the US. Thank you for joining us today. It is going to be a very special episode. Hey, Neil. Neil Israel is on. Yolanda. Anna Xavier representing Dallas. Yes. Great to see you guys. Sarah Waskow. I think Sarah was in these studios just yesterday. So welcome, everyone. I'll let you guys get settled in. In the meantime, make sure you introduce yourselves to each other in the comments. Use the comments to network with each other, build your network. And I challenge you to connect with 3 new people today in the comments alone. After all, your net worth is equivalent to your network. So go out there and meet some great folks. The people that tune into this show are always just great, kind, loving servant leaders. And I think you'll enjoy connecting with each other in the comments. So let me get to my content tip of the week. And this week, the topic is all around switching it up. And as you can tell, I switched it up this week. We are on location at Real News PR Studios. And I wanted to just do something different. It's summertime. It's gorgeous outside. And so whenever you're kind of stuck or you feel like your content's getting a little stale, switch it up. I have 3 factors that you can change up when you want to kind of spice up your content. Number 1, change up the format. If you're used to doing videos, start doing images and photos, or switch to text posts, or switch to a podcast or audio, or switch to a live. So whenever you feel like you're kind of getting stuck, make sure you switch up your format. Another thing you can do is switch up your content. Last week I was on vacation, so I thought I'd share some of my vacation photos, and those got great viewership and engagement. So whenever you feel like your content's kind of getting repetitive, make sure you switch that up as well. Go to a different place or do something funny, something entertaining. And then the third thing you could switch up is your background. So in this case, I am now in the Real News PR Studios, a special episode today, and you can do that as well. Maybe you're used to doing it in your office, switch it up to your corporate company office or somewhere outside. That's a great way to spice up your content as well. So those are the 3 ways to kind of switch things up when you feel like your content's getting stale: the background, the format, as well as your content. And that's my content tip of the week. Okay, so without further ado, I want to introduce my special guest this week, and her name is Sarah Crilley. I first met her through her dad, Jeff Crilley. They both form the basis of Real News Public Relations. They have studios all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in Fort Worth, Dallas, as well as the Colony up here where we are. So please join me in welcoming Sarah Crilley, VP of Real News PR. Welcome, Sarah.
Hey, Fanny. Hey, audience. Hey, everybody tuning in. Wow, I'm so excited to be on the show today here in the studio.
Our energy has been like super up here all afternoon long. And we also have a special guest, the Director of Operations, Josh Hart, also with Real News PR. And you are, I understand, the geeky audio.
The geeky guy, yes. Exactly.
Techie.
Thank you.
I love geeks. So
Is
we're
this
going to talk all geeks.
Is this the Fanny family? Is that what you call them? The Fanny family? Everyone joins in?
In a way,
yeah, it works out.
I never thought of it that way. Yes, they are like family. My audience is awesome. But make sure you bring all your questions, have them ready, because we're going to talk all around studio design on today's topic. So Sarah, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, I kind met you in your Dallas studios, which are amazing, and we're going to get to see tons of footage of that as well. But how did you kind of get into this whole career of videos and studios and radio? Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, I love that question. I'd love to share. Hi. So I grew up as a reporter's kid. My dad spent 25 years in broadcast television news. And I think one of my first words was story, story, story. And my dad's ability of storytelling is just magical. And so I just always have had my dad as my role model. And to be able to work with him side by side with Real News PR has just been such a dream come true. I'll show you kind of my first favorite toy. And I actually use this. This is a camcorder. I use this in podcast trainings because we do the video aspect. And so some people will come in, they're a little nervous. I say, you don't need to be nervous because we're going to go live with the Barbie cam here. And I kind of do a little role play back and forth with a guest and a host. And you really can't be that afraid when you're talking to the Barbie camera. Okay.
I think we should see Josh hold that prop as well.
I think we're good. We're good.
No, I see that as a fun example though. And, but being a broadcast kid, I admired my dad and his ability to be able to speak on camera and articulate. And so I took print radio and television classes. students. And part of that was being able to read from a teleprompter. And so we'd be all in there, all the students together, and it's all right, lights, camera, action. And, there was no secret. I had shared, my dad's our TV reporter. I'm really excited to be here and kind of see the behind the scenes of how this all works to jumpstart my career in television news. Well, Fanny, your girl here could not read a teleprompter. Okay, could not read a teleprompter. You could tell I was reading and I'd be looking into the camera, but there's the teleprompter and it's a big screen and I'd just start reading and reading and reading and reading. It was very embarrassing. So I'd take my tapes, because we had tapes back then, and I'd go behind the scenes, I'd start editing them. And then I started to really look professional, and I fell in love with the behind the scenes of the editing and the ways to feel confident on camera. Necessarily, the raw talent was not there, okay? And you don't have to have that magical raw talent that you see all these professional broadcasters have to be able to do all the amazing video work. So I fell in love with the editing and the behind the scenes and the production side. And as my dad was building Real News PR starting in 2008, I was very excited to be able to join the team and really watch him as an entrepreneur develop the print, radio, and television connections for our clients and get them on TV. And so I'd be behind the scenes and I'd take the pictures like a proud mom. And I'm like, look, they're on Channel 8. Look, we're so excited. And to tell their brand story. And along the way, and just a few years ago, we got into broadcast for the digital side, because our clients were looking for a way to create creative content. And to have my dad's broadcast TV background, there was like this perfect wave of, okay, what would this look like if we started to add more of a professional broadcast aspect to content creation for our clients? And how would that work hand in hand with what we're doing with Real News PR? And flash forward, we're now building out studios, and it's been just such a dream come true to be a part of the design aspect. And I go back to those beginning stages of learning through television, the way that you look on camera and feel on camera, those are two different things. So to be able to create these environments where you feel like you're at home, but yet in a professional capacity, right?
Absolutely.
So I've developed all of these different sets with a very intricate variety based on some inspiration with my clients and what I see and when they come to life and what makes their heart sing. And so really excited to talk about, kind of the journey of what goes into the studio design aspect of what we've created with Real News PR Studios.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you've probably quite seen it really transform from, back in the day, it had to be like very structured in a professional studio, like tons of equipment, heavy, big equipment, right? To now, like a teenager or even a kid off the street can like really have their own show or podcasts. Anyone of any age or industry or topic can start a show. And have you kind of seen that whole progression as well, from like formal to almost anything goes? Anything
does go. You can have a studio in your car parked, don't drive. You can have your phone set up and here you are, you're in your car studio. We've done remote locations where it is a Facebook Live element, and we're at different, the State Fair of Texas doing a fun show where you're really walking and talking and you have this whole little broadcast within your pocket. So I think that the future of broadcast, we made it so easy here within our studios to be able to rock up as the talent and here you are, poof, a pretty studio. But you don't necessarily need that. You don't need all of this. You can create your own content and call it a show and have that aspect as well. So you're
let's
absolutely
dive right into that. Like, speaking of set design, right? What are some of the factors that you think are critical in designing sets for a studio?
So much. And I think, Garrett, if we could share a picture of Josh and I working
and you
together.
Guys are getting a special treat here.
Yes.
Because she has brought it.
So Josh and I work together. You can see his arms are crossed there because everything with studio design is not necessarily always technically sound. Okay. So here I am with Josh and we're in our Dallas studio and we're mapping out the next studio that we're going to build. I'm like, look, we're going to have the mid-century table right here. And he's like, great. And then we'll drill into it and it'll be a professional broadcast table. And I was like, you're not going to drill into my table. And he's like, so this is like the before. And then here's the after and why we did this. But this was the mid-century studio and they did not drill into my table. What you see with us here, Fanny, is the table that we drilled into. Wow. And that is to have the mic arms be able to be close to your face. So this is a different microphone that we have in the mid-century set. And there's some technical behind that. From the design aspect, though, I built this one out with our team to make this feel more podcast. It's okay that we've got the microphone as close to our face because we're in a podcast studio, and that's what we designed this one to be. So I'll let kind of Josh talk through the technical aspect of, okay, we've got, the mid-century table mics, but are those more of like a set prop versus, I don't know. I mean, and from the technical standpoint, like they still look nice.
Yeah. It's more of the look and feel versus the how it's used. And I go into very much the how it's used, why it's used. I like these mic stands that are drilled in, bolted in. We have some styrofoam padding around the base, which gives you a better sound, gives you a better audio quality. The closer you are, right? The closer you are to the mic, the better it's going to sound. What this mic does is it tries to get the loudest noise and hone in. So the further I am away from that microphone, you're going to see you get more room noise, you get more squeak of the chair. And then when I'm right up on it, it's against that crystal clear sound. So that was the fight between the table of I want crystal clear sound and she wants looks pretty. Because before we found these microphones, before we found these microphones, we had ones that shot up and came down, and those blocked shots. It wasn't very pretty aesthetically,
I've seen those.
And so aesthetically, I'm not that worried about things. I'm more how they look and how they operate. So that's where Sarah and I are the yin and the yang to get the best possible product out of it, and we'll go back and forth even over color of paint.
Yes.
Remember the black paint?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I literally sat in the corridor as we're building out these studios, and it came down to, okay, we had the different walls, and there was that moment where I was like, I think we're making the wrong decision. You're like, no, we have everything's planned.
We just bought everything.
So all the paint.
Well,
we have like a question, and I think it ties into some of the factors that you were talking about, right? So definitely sound is one of the factors. David Cause had a question about like background, right? How do you go about designing the background?
So the variety is very important to us. So I'll play our video that has a great example of some of these different backgrounds that we've created and experimented with. So we'll let Garrett there hit play. And again, we came from this broadcast background, and we were the radio side meets TV, right? So we'd bring in our cameras, and from building these studios ground up, blank canvas really gave us the opportunity to dream up what would be what you see today. So here's some behind the scenes of the before of the studio that we're in now today. And this fun studio tour all starts with location, guys. So we're within 3 locations. And in our Dallas location, the background you'll see there is a whitewashed wall. And we've got a really fun dynamic shelf that will dress up and dress down. And that farmhouse inspired studio really did add an element of comfortability. Behind there, you have a wood wall, and that's what we have in our Grandscape Studio. So every studio does have kind of some familiar touches, because we find some wood walls like you see there behind that broadcast set that we have in Dallas. It just adds a little bit more of a detail that's subtle, but it's also warm. So even there, my dad's broadcast television set that he dreamed up, we built it.
The Real Housewife.
Yes, with the Real Housewife. You can go ahead and push pause there, Garrett. That table, it's clear, right? So you can even kind of see the illuminating background, and we incorporated the walls there, and also the beautiful windows of the cityscape. That's 635 in the tollway if you're from Dallas. So for our backgrounds, we do have the ability to transform a set based on the daylight and the night light. Sometimes we'll have those night shots that are pretty, but it really does depend on what you're looking for and when you want to kind of customize that look and that tone and feel. And also maximizing the set locations that you have. If you go ahead and press play there, Garrett, we've got the broadcast studio, and Jeff Crilley, my dad's like, let's build more broadcast studios. And I was like, okay, we'll build more broadcast studios. And the big dream here was, let's make a working newsroom shot. So we actually transformed our entire conference room. Now, keep in mind with the pandemic, we ended up not having as many in-person meetings, right? So we had this unutilized space, which was our conference room, that made a beautiful studio. That was like this hidden gem of the entire company was, wow, the working newsroom shot. So there are our background and the beautiful colors. We can definitely change those colors from greens to yellows.
Corporations can do that too. Convert their conference rooms into a studio.
Totally. Out of the 5 factors, set props are my favorite, Fanny. This is like really what makes my heart sing. So here you got the difference between our lifestyle studio that we call Oprah inspired, or our talk show studio. And you'll see some walking video here of just, you've got some furniture decisions to make, but always add some set props. So I'm talking about a social media subject there with one of our clients, and I brought in all of my emoji pillows. And she's talking on a phone there. We went from a social media topic to, I brought in a set prop of an original telephone. She's like, what is this, Sarah? So always the surprise and the shock and awe is what we're going for some of these fun studio sets. Here's a before and after of our mid-century table that everybody knows and loves. And then we dressed it up for the holidays. So we love holidays. And again, for set props, it just takes it to the next level when it comes to your video production and just having fun overall. And that goes for our staff. We ended up dressing up Andrew Wyme there as the Easter Bunny, because we had an Easter Bunny show. We've got the bunny ears and we have a lot of fun. I'm going to pause it here on sound because we're going to go through some of those microphones that we're talking about. And so in terms of the set design and the quality of the studio and what we've done with set design and sound is really important for us to probably get into, because it's a main factor to the studio design.
Yeah.
And
in fact, we got a question
Okay,
from Olivia in New York. She was speaking of sound. What do you recommend for soundproofing materials?
So it depends where you are. If you are in an office, it varies from being in your home, whether you're going to be on camera or off camera. If you're just doing audio only, there's a very low budget way of doing it where you can get sound, those little egg foam things, those will roll out, and you just roll it in front of you. What you're trying to do is, when I'm talking, what you're trying to avoid is the sound that bounces around. And so sound dampening, what it does is it basically absorbs the sound. So you want it to sound dead and like flat. That's the best sound you want to get. So putting some sound dampening in front of you. If you're going to be on camera, you can go to Amazon and find cool ones. For us in our studios, you may have saw some glimpses. We have sound dampening boxes that we put every 3 feet. It's just a big, it came in a big box, pull it out, hang it up on the wall. I know they have some hexagons that are different colors.
We have them here. They're in the bookcase.
Yeah.
I just haven't.
Down there. So,
and what we did here, because you'll see there isn't really sound dampening. We just have a ton of furniture in here. So that helps with the sound. Rugs help with the sound. Our wood wall and our brick wall kind of insulates the studio a little bit.
Yeah.
So some wall paneling helps. And I mean, this was not an ideal studio to build out, Fanny, because we've got concrete floors. And if you clap really loud, you can hear an echo, but the upgraded microphones really help with sound. They'll be drilling out in the parking lot. Okay. Grandscape is under construction, and you can't really hear it through these great microphones and our sound technology, but he is holding up one of these soundproofing panels.
Taking this and then just putting it as like a little like design and building it out. They come in a variety of colors. You can do one that has like a grade, so it matches your background or your brand, but you can see when I'm talking in front of it, it does kind of help kill some of that sound versus when it's pulled away.
And this one we've got kind of a higher area up on the ceiling that we would put these up. At this point, I feel like it'd be for decoration though, because I don't think we really have that much sound
we had
issues here now.
one issue in a studio. This is if you're in an office setting doing your studio, trying to build out in a conference room, and you can buy sound dampening tiles for your ceiling. Most ceiling tiles are going to be sound dampening, but these are extra soft and fluffy. But that was more for, we had an AC unit above that was loud, so it helped block sound from breaking through and getting in.
That's always my problem, actually, especially if I'm in a commercial space and recording something, is the AC. Any tips around that?
So what we had to do was basically build a barrier. So if our tenant is listening, our leasing office is listening, we built a barrier around the AC unit and the wall. And then also it does just help getting mics that are directional and not omnidirectional. So you want to look for like those directional mics that really help focus the
sound
pickup.
To me, like sound is so important, and yet to me it's like the hardest thing to understand.
It really is. And I'll add in here on the sound and the fans, because sometimes the studios will get hot, so we chill them to the point of you're all freezing. Guys, I'm so sorry at Real News. And it's because we can't blow air on them. It's got to just be like, let's cool the entire studios. Let's chill the studios, we call them. because if you get too hot and you want to start blowing we've got these U fans that will blow on you. We want to make sure that you can't hear that. So the air conditioning, we try to chill it in the morning, and then it kind of will settle.
Our employees have like down coats they wear sometimes in July in the studio because it gets really cold. But you think you add lights, you're on set, you're on camera, a lot of the lights are close, you're already kind of nervous, so your body temp has risen a little bit, and you don't want to see people sweating on camera. Right. So we do have that, but as far as the sound dampening, I would say really easy is the egg crates if you want to do that. If you're just doing voiceover work, you can go to any hardware store and you can build a box, like with plywood, cut a little box and just coat the inside with egg crate. Put your microphone in the middle of the box and you can talk into it, and it's like you're in a $30,000 studio.
Wow. So. And actually that brings me to Dolores Garcia's question. She's like, someone on another program said they use their walk-in closet as their podcasting location. That is a good trick. Yeah. So when I was in radio, so my background is radio here. I did radio for 13 years in Dallas. And that is definitely a voiceover trick. If you're ever out on location and you have to voice something, or you're at home, or I think our best story is I had to voice something for a traffic spot. So I went into our hotel closet and grabbed the down comforter and put it over me. Oh my goodness! Again, whatever works. But you wanted that mute sound. You wanted just that hollow, dead sound. So that's what I did. Had my phone. Usually your phone will work great in those kind of settings as well. But went into a closed space, grabbed a blanket, put it over me, and did my spot. Okay, so we got number 1, location, number 2, set props, number 3, sound. What's number 4, Sarah?
Well, it's got to be lighting, Garrett. Let's keep going with our video. I wanted to do this show and tell for you guys because it really does kind of bring this journey for you along the ride of what we built out here. So here, I guess we could continue on sound just a little bit there because they have the lapel mics because they had a wine tasting show. So again, that is an option for studios and for at home, is to have a lapel mic. And so that way you're free of the mic arm that you see there in the studio. If
you're going to go a lapel, I will tell you, don't go cheap. You can find
what brands would you recommend?
Shure is good, Sennheiser are good. We use predominantly right now, we found good stuff with Shure. They do really,
that's SHURE.
If you're spending, and I guess this is going to sound ridiculous, but if you're spending somewhere in the ballpark of $600 to $1,000 per mic pack, you're getting a really good microphone. People will spend $200 or $300, and we have tried that, and just trial and error. You'll find one reason or the other that it doesn't work right. It sounds hollow. It doesn't work with another one. And for us, especially with us, because we have clients, but for you, if you're having a guest on, you have that really important guest. You've been waiting for months and months to get them, and you got them, and you're being interviewed. And now you have audio that you can't hear, or it's scruffly, or it sounds hollow. It really takes away from what you're trying to say.
It really does.
So for us, it's about taking away those distractions. And sound does that. Also, lighting can do that too.
Okay, number 4, lighting.
Let's get into the lights. So light is magic. Lighting is so fun to work with, but it's also can be complicated. So I've got some different lighting examples there that we have, and also what you're wearing on camera mixed with the light, and then these color lights behind you, light everywhere. And I love to be able to show too, I think we have on here is an example of night shots versus day shots and what that looks like, because we do have glass windows all around the studio here within Grandscape, the Colony. And, it is important, and it's something to really, take in account when you're building out your studios, or you're going to be a guest on a show, of what you're going to wear and how that looks on camera versus what it's going to look like with the lights. And so even here in studio, I can even get up and show you. It looks a little different because we've got our overhead lights, and then we also have wrapped around here is more light that comes in. So we can illuminate and then we can take away. And so that depends on the time of day. If it's rainy, I'll get up and I'll show you.
So we can turn more lights on, yeah.
Well,
this is as live as you get it, folks.
This is as live as you get. But then when you see us, we'll be brighter, but the tone of the room is just we're blinded by
Yeah.
these lights right now.
Yeah.
So I really did want the tone of the show to be a little less
Yeah.
lit. So I'll show you what that looks like. If we go to Fanny's shot, and then you can see when I turn off some of these overhead lights, what she looks like.
Yeah. I feel more like exposed. Yeah. See, it's a lot more intimate and like cozy
Yeah.
almost in this kind of muted light.
It does. It just changes the
Mhm.
feel. It changes the feel of the shows and the videos that you're creating, and also can change your mood. So I love it, Garrett. If we could even show them some of these different color options with our uplighting here. It's always fun to be able to, yeah, we've got different lighting options,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it also helps.
If you go to the 2-shot, you'll see it better. There we go.
There, she's pink. And
See?
then we're going
Yeah.
to change her to blue. And
It like adds warmth almost,
Yeah,
right?
it
The
can- it
blue is
can-
very
yeah.
cool, and
Yep.
then the purple is like kind of more intimate.
throw it in the comments. What's your favorite colors to do for the color
Yeah.
lighting?
The ones that we use most often are that neon kind of pink and the blue. Those
Why
are the
is
two we
that?
use. We find that skin tones look better with those two profiles. So
Neon pink and blue.
yeah, so
for
you saw
skin
it's more like a
tones.
violet, whatever that pink is called. Is it
Mhm.
fuchsia? What is that color called? Where the bright pink in the background? It's a good pop of color. And blue, it's there as well, but blue also is a good shade for skin tones.
And
There
also
it
what
is.
you're
There it
wearing.
is.
You don't want to be competing with what you're wearing. I mean, I've got a scarf on and kind of these different blues. Behind me, I have an entire TV monitor. So it doesn't even matter with the different color lights, because I've got this TV behind me. So that's also another background option I think we'll throw in there, is that you could have a TV monitor behind you and you could transform yourself into any studio you want it to be.
And in a way, you can kind of do it both in studio professionally, and then, but for those that are just starting out, Sarah, like, do you have any tips for people setting up their home studios?
I do. So I made a whole video on it. We could play a little bit if you wanted to.
Of course, you have a video.
When you're creating content, it makes it easy to create the videos along the way. So I did make a keep it up.
Let
your
us
content.
know in the comments below how you loved all these videos. This is like show and tell.
This is show and tell. So it was hard because we weren't able to use our studios, right? It was pandemic. And so we were all working from home. So I did this, hey, I'm famous and I'm on TV. This is a behind the scenes of the different lighting options and all of the factors that can come into a home studio, and also just your broadcast at large when you're being interviewed on a Zoom, or maybe you're on a work conference call, or you just want to take it up a notch. So I go through an entire video on the home studio and what to look for. So I think that would relate to any of your audience members that are wanting to just upgrade their home studio or just tweak it that much more. So I go through all the prep and setup for your in-home interviews. And if you guys send me a message, I will send you guys that video, or you can go to our website, launchashow.com, and we have just a whole series of at-home videos that you can thumb through and enjoy. So we took the time to make that.
And Josh, we actually have a question from Leon Martin about cameras. So we
Yes.
talked a lot about mics. Any tips and recommendations for cameras?
So we looked long and wide, sure, on cameras. When we first got started, we were using webcams. Our whole goal was to make it cost efficient enough to have several cameras and get the job done. The key is that for the most part, depending on where you're streaming, YouTube and Facebook doesn't take 4K. So we already knew right off the bat we didn't want to use 4K cameras, because you're paying 4K.
It'd be overkill.
Yeah, you're paying 4K prices and you can't actually use the products. So you're looking for any sort of mirrorless camera. In this studio, this is our only studio that we don't have Sony. For the most part, we are a Sony family. I found these Lumixes at Best Buy, and I fell in love with them.
LUMIX.
LUMIX, and
for those that are looking.
I think you're calling me. I think it's the 100, the 1000 brand. Is that right, Garrett? The DX 1000. Yeah. You look yep. So those are the ones that we found that work the best. And we were going for top-notch quality that we can recreate without necessarily having to have 30 or 40,000 to do it. Because most of these 4K cameras, you're looking at $6,000 a pop. So if that's what you're going with, you're automatically kind of downgrading yourself as far as how many you can do. For us, if someone comes in and kicks over one of these cameras and they break, we get upset, but it's not the end of the world. We can go out to Best Buy and buy a new one, have it set up within an hour, and we're ready to go. So that was kind of our principle. So the Sony A series, the Alpha series, we use the Sony A5000s and the Sony A6000s predominantly. I think we have one Sony A7. There's no reason, like for our purposes, there's no reason to get higher than a 6. If you're in the Sony A7000s, you're spending $1,000 on the base when really it's the lens that gives you the good shot. So we upgrade our lenses, as you can see here. We have different lenses on all these cameras.
Yeah, let's throw to Fanny.
So Fanny has a long.
Lens.
She has on a long lens, but you're getting really a lot of good depth. What you want to look for is when it gives you good depth of view, so that the actual person talking is really focused. But it gives you the depth behind
like
you.
The fuzzy background.
Yeah,
that
it
we
doesn't.
See,
yeah,
right?
it doesn't make it look like it's all like a flat surface.
Right.
Which is why you also want depth in your shot. You don't want to be sitting right next to the wall. You want to have a good 4 or 5 feet. I'm actually breaking that rule now. I only have about 2 or 3 feet behind me, but you want to have a good 4 or 5 feet in front of you where the camera is, and a good 4 or 5 feet behind you. You can use a stock lens. It's fine. I always would recommend going up. And again, I'm going to go to our producer, Garrett. Is it the 50 millimeter lens? The one that's good for like the personal.
The ones out here?
Yeah, they're good for like the personal shots.
Yeah, so the one
Shout out to Garrett.
Shout out to Garrett, and he is on not a webcam. He's on a GoPro.
Yeah.
So
that was our
that's what
very
that one
first.
looks-
There was our very first studio. We used all GoPros. Again, hey, these are $300 a pop. They look way better than the handy little desk cameras or those are.
Flops around.
Yeah. And the problem we had with the GoPros and why we don't use them any longer, except for Garrett, is the autofocus. So we couldn't figure out on the new GoPros, we couldn't turn off autofocus. And so it would, if you moved around a lot, which people tend to do, it would change your focus. So you would have that noticeable jump in and jump out. And again, our goal from the technical side is not to be noticed.
Yeah.
I want you not to notice that you're watching a camera, not to notice the microphone sound. Like I want you to be lost in the story that the person is telling
In the moment.
In the moment, yeah.
And so we got Lumix and then the Sony A series.
Yeah, the Sony,
around the A6000.
Yeah, 6,000, 5,000, you're fine. If you want to, knock yourself out. The Sony A7 series is a phenomenal camera for photography, for those kind of things. But just for the mirrorless feature of streaming, you're spending money you don't need to spend.
Yeah.
Well, and so those for the 700s or the A7s rather, those are really used a lot for like you said, photography and stuff, but they have the log feature that gets you, like you can record it and it looks blown out and really not great, but it captures way more information. And then you can go back and color correct it. Doing a live show, we don't really have the need for that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about sound and mics and cameras. Any lighting, any suggestions for lighting equipment?
The more, the merrier. That's one of the things that we've learned with lighting. We started off, I think, in our very first studio up in 515 of Tower 2, our very first studio, we had no lights, just the overheads.
Just the overheads, and you'd see these dark shadows on our faces.
Yeah.
This literally has like a whole
Yeah.
perimeter
Yeah.
of lights
And
above us.
I want to incorporate this into every studio that we do in the future, only because you want to have lights that hit the front of your face, but you also want to have a light that goes behind you. You want to have a light that shines on the back of your head. It gives you that outline of where you are. It gives you more and more dimensions as far as that kind of goes. Lighting can do wonders on a set. So you'll see there'll be one camera that hits the back, one light that hits the back of my head, just to make sure that I'm not like a flat spot back there. So yeah, lighting is really important. I would get, if you think I only need 4, get 8. You can go to Amazon. These little squares are
The newers.
The newers. There you can get like 2 for $100. So I mean, they're not really that
And I
expensive.
always wondered, like, what is the difference between having the lights that are like totally exposed, you can see the bulbs, versus then you see those like big kind of umbrella shaped lighting, and what is the difference between those two?
It's not as harsh. So it gives you a natural glow without like a spotlight. So you don't want to have like, so all these are dimmed here.
They're
Let
dimmed
us
and
know
they have
any other lighting questions you have in the
Yes.
in the comments.
More
folks.
lighting questions. The lighting is fantastic in this session. Wow, we got compliments, guys.
So
we do have a filter on these too, and then you can warm them and cool them. So they're the newer brand lights, and we are obsessed with these lights. We take them on shoots for remote shows. Our reporters take them. They're great. They're not heavy. We're
light,
used to those big floodlights in TV where they're just heavy and they're expensive.
Those flow lights. Yeah, the flow lights are great. Nothing wrong with flow lights. For our green screen studio, we did spend more, and I forget the brand of those. We did spend more, and those are those big domed. And you can go from 1 to 100, and we bought 4 of them and spent roughly $7,000 or $8,000 on just the lights. But for green screen, you have to, because green screen, the back has to be lit well, and the person has to be lit well. So any sort of shadows or any sort of anything, especially if you have curly hair like mine, it has to get lit well. So I would say if you're just at home, and I say just, but if you're at home doing your show, really easy to get 2 or 3 or 4 newer lights and just do 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 7 o'clock. It's kind of having like
say that
around
again.
you.
2 o'clock.
So yeah, you want one like basically you want them in the corners diagonally. So if you're sitting here at your desk, I want one right here at my 2 o'clock, one here at my 10, so 10 and 2, and then I want the opposite of that behind me. And you ideally don't want to see them.
Trick.
So you want them to be high and pointed down.
And both sides of your face. You want to be able to light both sides.
Unless you're trying to be like noir, where you just have like one side's dark and you're like talking, being very sultry. Then do what you want to do.
YouTubers that are like whispering into the lights.
So you can do that. But again, you can do a lot of really cool things with lights. And even these little color bars, you can get them, and they just make such a difference to the room that you're in. We don't mind giving away our secrets. These were at Guitar Center. They're really easy to go pick up.
There's so many different brands too.
So the good part about going and buying things through Amazon or at Guitar Center is they have a great return policy. So you can go home, play with them for a day or 2 or 3 and go, nah, this is awkward for me to use, or it doesn't really look right. I want to take it back or send it back. But I just trial and error. It took us to get to this point, it took us 3 years. And it was our entire team who loved to tinker with different things and buy stuff and try stuff and send it back, or buy stuff and try stuff and keep it forever. So
we've kind of covered the equipment, the technical side of things. Now, obviously, for a show to be successful, Sarah, it's also the content and how people put together their shows. Any tips around kind of the secrets? Because you've seen tons of shows come across your studios. What would you say are kind of the secrets of the successful shows?
Candy.
We always have candy and something to just raise the energy. So the content that you love, the guests that you're inviting on, just keep your energy high and positive. I think that's the biggest secret. My dad's a professional speaker. He always has a Snickers. And so we have these little candies, or just even a client's favorite drink or coffee. If they're nervous, I'm always trying to find out what somebody's favorite dessert is, or just something that makes them feel good. Especially here at Grandscape, we've got cookies and popcorn and, just whatever makes you feel good, right? And maybe the music. I have some behind the scenes of some clients want to do a little bit of salsa dancing before their show. So what is going to raise your mood? And think about those topics and those guests that you want to interview that's going to raise your energy, that you're passionate about. I think that's the biggest takeaway and secret. If you're in kind of a bad mood, try to get out of it. You've got your whole team behind you that loves you, that can help you make that phone call of somebody that just energizes you, or be that for someone else. If you know that there's a big video shoot or a guest that they're going to be a guest on a show, you want to give them that extra boost of confidence, and that comes around full circle. So
love it. So the secret is sugar.
Sugar is one of them. Another one.
I don't want to say sugar. It's you can't have sugar, okay? But the point is, and we have these on set just in case. And some different drinks. Josh has the shot of confidence over there. He's got his Words of Whiskey show, and so that's always fun. But also, I'll say just some tips is I've seen just amazing shows come out of night. So night almost changes the entire mood of a show. They're a little relaxed. It's after work. So Garrett and I are joking. We're like, man, we love these evening shows. the clients just seem a little bit more relaxed. And so we've been experimenting with kind of the different times of day that the studios are open and available here at Grandscape. You know, we're open till 8 o'clock. And so we love that because it starts to get dark and then that just changes the whole mood of a show. It's really fun.
David Cause asks, rehearsal. Do you find that shows need a little bit of rehearsal before going on? Or?
Yes, and that's why I equipped the Barbie camera. We love to do practices. I do think that, it's got music on it too.
Barbie's talking now.
Yes, practice. Practice makes perfect. I practiced a little bit before Fanny's show, and that was going through my talking points and then just really adding to it. So I love a good practice, but I also love a good impromptu. So to rehearse, to make sure that you really know your content and that your voice inflections and how you look and present yourself on camera can make all the difference when you're feeling confident on a show. But also don't be too scripted. I mentioned the teleprompter. I cannot read from a teleprompter, guys. Still to this day, I've tried to practice. I just can't do it. I've got shows that are wanting to be completely perfectly scripted, but the impromptus and the candids can also make a difference. Just feel confident along the way. So practice makes perfect.
One of the things I often tell people when they're starting their show is that I did morning show radio for 13 years and I never walked out of the studio and was like, I nailed it. Great job. Awesome. There was always some room for improvement or, oh man, I should have done that differently, or I should have set this up differently, or I should have asked that question. And that's always going to be in the back of your mind. But, you know, as you get used to this, you walk in with a level of confidence. Sarah's right. It just takes time to develop. So don't beat yourself up. Know that you're going to look back after your 10th show at your first show and go, oh, man, was that my first show? You're going to look back at your 100th show at your 10th show and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was doing that on my 10th show. You are going to do that. Know that you are, and it's best to jump in with both feet and get creative and try things. One of the things that I do is every once in a while you'll see me kind of like talk like this because I can get very comfortable, but I always try to be purposeful and sit up straight.
Posture.
Yeah, sit up straight. Make sure that you know that you're not like when I still
myself too.
Yeah, I still talk loudly even though I'm talking to you, and I can talk like this and you can still hear me, but I'm not talking just to you. I'm talking to the people right there. So you're always trying to project your voice, be a little bit louder, more confident, and you'll find that if you pretend to be confident, you become more confident. So it's that level of kind of fake it till you make it.
And I'd love to hear what the audience thinks. What do you think is the secret to a successful show? Think about some of those shows, live shows that you follow, podcasts. What are some of your favorite elements? I'd love to read those out here. And also, I wanted to kind of look towards the future, right? So Sarah, you know, I think we're coming out of the pandemic, hopefully, fingers crossed. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Do you still see a big future for like video shows versus podcasts, or podcasts are still getting so popular? What are some of the trends you're seeing between like studio video shows versus like podcasts?
Building out the lifestyle sets has really been the future that we've brought to our shows, and it's made a huge difference. And I've seen TV news does it where they'll have the professional anchor set and they'll have those lifestyle shows, right? And so I think that incorporating that into your home, rethink your house and how you would have a video shoot there if you're wanting to produce at home, and even the fireplace behind you or a staircase, or try a different video shoot throughout your entire home. I think that really that authenticity that came out of, hey, we were in the pandemic and a lot of content creators were at home or outside, or they really had to reinvent their content. So that actually really propelled content forward. I think the technology aspects really have made a difference. So looking towards the future, I remember and I think we all remember before Facebook Live, that was a game changer. The live aspect, to be able to go live directly to your audience, has changed so much. And for the future, I hope that people experiment with it. So the compelling vision for the future is to just practice, try, and enjoy, and do that with friends too. I think you can grab your friends or your business and colleagues and say, hey, there's this new thing on LinkedIn. Let's try it. LinkedIn has stories now. So really the future is that the acceptance of trying something new and the creative genius can be within all of us. It doesn't need to be marketers. It doesn't have to be video professionals. It is in all of us, guys. You are special. You are a content creator genius. You just unlock that.
Actually, that's a good point, like content, because you've seen tons of people come through your studios. Maybe if you could kind of share with people like the whole variety of shows that you've seen come across your studios, just so people can kind of see like the range of possibilities of show topics. What have you seen?
Fanny, favorite question, because I got a video for it.
I didn't even know that.
So our clients inspire us. So we have so many different clients. And again, it really is somebody that's wanting to get their message out there. And we got the videos, Garrett, there that has the variety of clients, and it's our different studio designs there. So, we've got business professionals, we've got kids, we've got pretty much everybody and anybody. If you want to like really narrow down like who our clientele is, and does it just sound, it's everybody.
Yeah.
There isn't any client that we wouldn't take, I guess, that's wanting to
What
do
about
fun video
topics?
content.
So what are they talking about on some of these shows that you've come across?
Right. So our clients are talking about their expert topics. So if they're an expert in their field or they're really their subject matter expert, they're talking about their content that speaks to them. So we've got those clients that really they want to either use their show for networking within their industry. And so they're going to be geeking out in their industry about their topic, or they're going to bring on a guest that they're trying to get to know, and maybe they're learning something. So even Fanny, like she's inviting on so many variety of people and expertise, and she's learning along the way, and she's taking you for the ride. So, and I think that's great. I'm a huge fan of your show, Fanny.
Thank
it's
you.
like a dream come true to be on the show.
The feeling's mutual. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you see podcasting being oversaturated at all? Or do you think there's room for more? Or what?
Oh my gosh, there's so much room for more. Are you kidding me? There's nothing that's oversaturated. You are you're your own perspective. You're your own unique human that's a gift to others. And so I would never deter somebody from doing a show or to experiment with this. It's just another form of content to get your voice heard and to be able to experiment with it. And I wouldn't say, oh man, there's just all these, if you're a lawyer, all these lawyer shows. Well, reinvent it and make it your own. I've got shows that will come in and it takes a few weeks for them to even develop the name. We don't like pressure them too hard on, hey, have the name of your perfect show. Let's create a few episodes to really get that concept down. And so that's important to think of too, is that, it can be anything. A show can really be anything. You can take them on a journey. You can interview them. You can take them out into the parking lot. And here's what I'm talking about today. We're back on the show. And this is what I'm showing you today. It's really the show. It's taking them on a journey, and it's video and audio. And we've combined both. There's no reason why not to combine both, but
Absolutely.
I love to listen to shows and watch them. It's either read the book or, watch the movie or listen to the movie now.
Love it. And Josh, you came from radio.
I did.
Right? And so in podcasts, I feel like kind of is an extension, a wide extension of that. Any tips that you would have maybe that you can carry over from your radio days that you can give to people that are starting podcasts right now?
One of the tips I often give people is that the moment you start to feel bored, your audience was bored 40 or like 15 minutes ago. So it's important. There's a lot of people who feel like they have to opine on things a lot longer than they should. They want to get into the nuances and different things. I think when you're telling a story, you always want to get out with leaving them wanting a little bit more. So that to me, that was always important. Always preached into my head. It's like, if I'm going to tell a story, I'm going to tell the meat of the story, and then I'm going to get out. And let people respond back to me or ask me questions or develop a communication offset, wanting more instead of giving everything I have away into a podcast that maybe 4% was interested in 100%, but I want to give at least what 90% want and then get out. And I can have those conversations offline with those. So that's one of the things. Don't think you have to do a 45-minute or a 2-hour podcast. You can do a 10-minute podcast with hey, here are some daily tips about my branding or about what I'm doing this week or about things that I realized from the new. You can do whatever you want. It can be super short. It can be 20. It can be 10. It can be 5. It can be 2. Whatever it is, it can be your thing. So don't feel like you have to be like to get like in that mold of, well, I have to do a podcast that's X.
Right.
It's yours. So do it to where you're comfortable and you feel like I got the meat out there and then let them come back to me for more questions.
And that's how you can create more engagement and fandom and
Yeah.
pull audiences in, right?
Yeah. And the answer to your previous question is, are podcasts going away? And Sarah's right. No, podcasts aren't going away.
Yeah.
Are they oversaturated? There are a lot of them. But the question would be asking yourself, there's also a lot of websites. But if you're creating a company, you're going to not have a website because you go, well, everyone has a website. No, you still have to have a website. So the fact that it's oversaturated or that there's a lot of people involved with it, may be a reason that you have to be there as well, because you're involved in the medium where everyone is. Like you can't say, I'm not going to have a Facebook page, I'm not going to advertise on Google. Well, then why are you even having a company?
Right.
Like you go where people are to bring them to where you want
people
to be.
buy from people at the end of the day.
Yeah, and there's no better way to show who you are than a podcast. I can't see a Facebook.
And that's the popularity of Clubhouse, too, right?
Yeah.
That audio element that people connect with, a voice in the dark.
Yeah.
From all over the place. You can connect on blah, blah, blah. You can connect on Clubhouse. Can I say Clubhouse? Oh my gosh, so many people all at once, right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool aspect of the technology. And, here we are. They have like these live conferences happening through Clubhouse. That's just been amazing to see too. I'm glad you brought that up.
So let's picture 5 years down the road, right? What's in store, you think, for the future of digital studios?
Oh
what's
my gosh.
in store for you guys at Real News PR? Like, are you building more, or different kind of sets, different kind of technology? Where do you kind of see things going for digital studios?
The future's here. So we started this broadcast side and building out the studios just a few years ago. And so we can keep playing that video, Garrett, because that shows really where we transformed from one studio to the next, to the next, to the next, and growing our location. So this video does represent the studio design build outs that we've done. So I think we have 11 or 12 now that we've built. And we just want to keep reinventing it. The studios are never done. I'm about to go through Fort Worth studio again and just add a little bit more to it. And I really want to build out a working kitchen set. I think that would be fun. So hopefully before the 5-year mark that you're talking about.
Yes, demonstrations.
Yes, I would love that. And even, I get inspired every time I'm watching television and the HGTV, because I'm thinking, oh man, that would be cool to do. Let's experiment with it. Or this over the shoulder shot, or just the different ways to reinvent some of these studios. And I think I'd love to start doing things out of the studio walls. So to be able to do more of those remote locations, and we do those, but I'd like to really get that down to the point where it's just a pop-up podcast kind of feel, no matter where you are. And so that's the future. I know Josh and I kind of go back and forth on pop-up podcast, and do we do this now or do we do this later? And we're doing it this summer is happening. Okay, we got the gear. We're doing these pop-up podcasts this summer. Garrett, you can keep going on that video, because I think that would kind of spark a few more of some of these set designs that we've done, and just to inspire others to create. Because again, we saw this out of a need within our company to be able to have these broadcast shows daily. And my dad does his show 3 times a day now. He's having a blast with it. He's using it to network. He's using it for us, for our company. It really helps propel the company forward from a branding perspective, because Jeff Crilley's everywhere. They're seeing on speeches. He's on LinkedIn Live all day long talking about a variety of different topics with so many different guests. And so that's what I'd say too, is that maybe you have a show that you came in and you're like, hey, I want it to be about me and what I'm talking about, and I'll have a guest on once in a while, but your show can start to transform based on the content that you feel is working. And so I think, my dad will help name some of the shows. And the first thing we always say is, you brand yourself, you brand your name, you brand your show. You got to have your show as your name. So that's why the Jeff Crilley show is the Jeff Crilley show, because it can be whatever he wants it to be. And then that's a branding.
I took that advice from him. So it's the Fanny Dunagan show.
It's perfect. It's perfect. And then when they're Googling your name, your show comes up. I mean, that's genius. I love it.
And you have a show yourself, Sarah. Tell us about Talk of the Town.
Thank you. I do. I have Talk of the Town, and Talk of the Town is all things Talk of the Town worthy. And so I've had a variety of guests on. It's launching this summer. If you would like to be my guest and you have a Talk of the Town topic worthy, if I can say all that together too, I'd love to interview you and learn more about what you feel is Talk of the Town worthy within your industry, and things that you're hearing about that you think would be conversational to have on a show. And come hang out with me. I love to have different guests on. I've had some chefs. So we talk about the foodie things. I had some New Yorkers have some hot takes about the Texas New York style pizza, if there is a thing. So pizza is a hot topic when it comes to the New Yorkers. I had a mother-daughter dynamic duo that were on, and they're going through their dating, and they're also going through career transition at the same time. And that was really cool to be able to have them banter back and forth of what they're experiencing. And that was just fun for Talk of the Town, right? Because dating and career, there was an interesting parallel of so much is changing in their life. And so Tracy, Tim, it was so fun to have you on the show, and we will be promoting that here in a few weeks. And so that's just a little sneak peek behind the scenes of Talk of the Town.
Love it.
I did not name it Sarah Crilley Show. I have a goal and a mission, and that is to have the Talk of the Town as a fun brand in a show. And so I take that from studio to studio.
Really good point about having like on location shoots, right? So like if we were to get out of a studio and, you know, spotlight some place or a location, any tips around like what happens when you have to bring equipment outside, Josh? Like I know I always struggled with like the wind blowing and making all kinds of noises. And like if people want to get out and do that kind of like out of studio shot, any tips around that?
Yes, this is what Sarah and I have been discussing for some time, more of the desire to want to do it and the actually how it has to go. Execution. So again, if you're going to be doing that, I would say the easiest way to go about it is, I think, if your camera has an audio jack, getting a converter for an XLR for a handheld camera, only because the wireless packs.
Or handheld mic.
Yeah, handheld mic. I always go corded if possible. You can also go out and get a little sound recorder that can plug in, have an XLR plug into it. Again, Guitar Center, $60. It doesn't have to be super expensive because you're going to be plugged directly in, and that can be in your back pocket. And you have the little handheld mic. Sarah found a great website that you can do your customized mic flags. And it's those like small attention to detail things that I think make a huge difference when you're doing that sort of stuff and you're having like your own personal mic flag, you're out there, and then you can put the video and the audio together and match it up. I'm never going to see an example of what that mic flag looks like.
It's the show and tell show.
It is.
Sarah. So you can see.
Oh, yeah.
So those little small mic flags, they make a huge difference when you're walking up to somebody and you're putting a mic in their face.
You just slot the mic in.
Yep. And you're just putting a mic in their face. They like that mic doesn't work.
Well, so this one does, but we have taken to be able to get the audio straight to our phone. There's a little lapel that clicks in, and then we just stick the lapel on
so
here.
that might actually okay. So I thought the mic didn't work. But
it does work, but we needed to get the audio straight to our Facebook Live, and
but you're able to do it that way. And so
love that.
You want to make sure you have a good pocket on top of it, a little like sound dampener on top of it. And then always pre-test. So always go outside and record yourself and listen back and see how it sounds. Video you can fix. Audio is really hard to fix.
Yeah.
Though you're making it sound so daunting. So the one person going out live on the scene, the social media reporter, totally fine. It's adding more microphones and more tech and to make sure that the guests that you would have on. So the vision of doing that pop-up podcast would be to be able to have 6 people flawlessly, no matter where we are. We're going to do that.
I agree with you.
Maybe the tech's not there yet. Maybe we'll invent it.
I'll have to come back like a year later.
The tech is there. Yeah, the tech is there.
But if we were to have 6 people out on a pop-up podcast, what gear would we need today?
For 6 people, you would need a board, 6 microphones, either hardwired in. But for so then
soundproofing would be a thing.
Soundproofing wouldn't. You'd have to go with a sock on top of the microphone. So ideally, you're hard lining, so you have to get the cords to match. It creates.
We'll report back to you, Fanny.
Yeah.
Let's do this next week.
Yeah.
Who wants to be the 6 people on the pop-up
week.
podcast Talk of the Town? Let's go. Are you with me?
I love it.
Fanny's one of them. I know it.
Well, for those of you out there, I mean, my brain is full of information, of ideas, and I hope for you out there in the audience, you've come away from this show with tons of ideas as well. But if you don't want to do it yourself, Sarah, you have a website that people can go to, right? If they want studio help and professional help. What is that website?
Yes. So we have launchashow.com, and that's very specific to our studios within Grandscape, the Colony, Dallas, and Fort Worth. And then realnewspr.com is all of our PR work. So you can see if you need some help with publicity at the speed of news, that's realnewspr.com. And then Real News CN, which is short for Communications Network, is our shows. So we've got 3 websites. We'll put them up there. But launchashow.com would give you this content that we're talking about, which is the studios and the set designs and how to work with us on shows. So we would love to work with you.
Yeah. The main thing is don't be scared. Jump in, grab a microphone, grab a board, grab a camera, audio only. Just jump in, start it. You'll get better and better and better. Tech will improve show after show.
Absolutely. Like I always say, hashtag do it scared. Your heart can still be pumping and you can still get out great content and great value. So thank you. Gosh, Josh, thank you so much for your time. Sarah is behind the scenes with Garrett, but I want to thank all of you for tuning in as well. Just real quick, before I wrap up the show, I do want to announce some upcoming events with my Association of Business Technology Professionals. That is going to be on Tuesday, June 22nd at 6 p.m. For all of you technologists out there, we are going to talk about corporate security breaches and how to protect your firm with Rich Stark, the CIO of CrowdStrike. So you can register for that at abtpdfw.org. But if we can bring back my guest here, Sarah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing with us all those great tips to putting together studios, whether it's at home or professional set design, and Josh for all your amazing equipment tips. What's the best way for people to connect with you guys? Is it LinkedIn, Facebook?
Any of those you want. For me, it'd probably be my email, which is Josh Hart, HART @realnewspr.com.
Awesome. And for you, Sarah?
Sure. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My email's long. Sarah Crilley @realnewspr.com. But connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm learning so much from you, Fanny, on LinkedIn. So
Awesome.
You've inspired me. I will be much more active on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
So thank you for
watch
that.
out for her on LinkedIn, folks, as well as Josh. And as always, I want to thank every one of you for tuning in, and a reminder to continue to shine your light, share your gifts, share your message, and share your thoughts and message with the world through video. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you connect with Sarah and Josh. Bye.